Good day, Junior Tuckies, and to anybody else who might be listening in. Welcome to this English home language lesson for grade 8. Today we are going to be tackling prefixes, suffixes, and root words. This is a theory lesson which is going to hopefully help you pass your exams, or at least to get these marks. The lesson is compiled by me. My name is Miss Amy Langtree, and I am very, very excited to study with you and to hopefully help you learn these things. Right, so let us take a look at what the CAPS document expects you to achieve in your language paper. The CAPS document is known as the Curriculum Assessment and Policy Statement, and it is a document that is released by the Department of Education. And basically, it states exactly what is expected of you to know when it comes to entering into these exams. So when it comes to prefixes and suffixes, it says this: the learner must be able to identify the meaning of common prefixes and common suffixes. So go ahead and write down prefixes and then these three as an example, and suffixes, and this is an example. Okay, determine the meaning of words and their connection to word families using knowledge of common prefixes and suffixes. So there's definitely a key word here, and that is prefixes and suffixes, right? We now need to be able to link prefixes and suffixes to their connection to words, okay? And we also need to know common prefixes and suffixes. We can do that, no problem. Okay, so what exactly is a prefix, a suffix, or a root word? Well, the word fix, right, which can be seen here, prefixes, suffixes, okay? That means to make secure, okay? Pre means before, and suff means after. So basically, think of a chain, okay? You've got pre, the root word, sa. Okay, prefix, I must sound ridiculous. Prefix, okay, root word, and suffix. And all together, that makes a word that's secure in its meaning. Okay, secure in meaning. At the end of the day, the more detail we can add onto a word, the more specific we can be, and the easier it is for our audience to understand exactly where we're going with this, okay, with our sentence. So let's read from the beginning, shall we? Over here now, guys. Oh, I've made a mess, but we can still read the words. Okay. All English words have a root word which can be seen as the base of the word. Then there are often short sounds used in the beginning or end of a word, okay, to alter it in some way. These are called prefixes and suffixes. Think of prefixes and suffixes as the building blocks of words. Right. So, okay, here is the root word. I want you to think of a root like a tree. Okay, roots can they can dig down deep. Okay, they can go very, very far into history and into the ground. Now, I'm not sure if you've watched the dictionary skills video yet, okay, but that dives into the history of words and how in English we've got Greek origin, we've got Middle English, we've got Latin, okay? Those are the root words, okay, that go way back in time and have just formed into words throughout history, okay? So we've got a root word, okay? Then as time marches on, the words differ, the words change, or whatever. So I want you to look at these rings of time as well. Okay, words can change meaning and all sorts. Basically, prefixes and suffixes are also derived from these Greek and these Latin words, and they are added to the base sort of root of the word, and basically they become a derivative of the root word suffix. Okay, and because these change, because prefixes and suffixes change, essentially what happens is the meaning of the word will change as well. Okay, let's have a look over here. I'm just reading down here now. Many, many words used in the English vocabulary have either a prefix or a suffix attached to it. Therefore, if we know many prefixes and suffixes, then we can figure out exactly what many of the words in the English language mean. Okay, hence your vocabulary will increase tremendously. Simply because you know prefixes and suffixes, you will know the meaning of very long words. I'll explain as we go along. I promise this will make more sense, guys. Let us take a look at the word misspelling. Misspelling means an incorrect spelling of a word. Okay, so if we take a look, we can dissect or we can break up misspelling into its syllables. Okay, misspelling. Spell is the root word, because spell is the word that can stand on its own and it's the base of the sentence. Now, when we add miss, we understand that something is done incorrectly because that is the meaning of that prefix. Okay, so I've added miss to spell, I get the word misspell. Someone has spelled something wrong. But then I add ing, I-N-G, to the word as well, misspelling. That's now giving me more context. This is now giving me the tense of the word. Misspelling is a word that stands on its own now. But if we dissect the word, we'll find that a prefix and a suffix have made a significant difference and have added significantly more detail to a word. Now, what we're going to do in this lesson is we are going to take a look at all the different common prefixes and suffixes and sort of study them and have some examples at hand so that when it comes to the test, we'll be able to identify them. Okay, so it's quite common for words in the English vocabulary to have a prefix or suffix attached to it. And a root word is obviously the original word before prefixes and suffixes make changes, and it occurs quite often. Have a look at this example. Okay, here is the root word accept. Right, now we've added un, which means not. So now unaccept has totally turned the meaning on its head, and then we've added the suffix able, which means capable of being. Okay, these are the sorts of things we should write down. We should write down the meaning. Definitely just something we need to study. Okay, now we've got unacceptable. Okay, which means not accepting or capable of being. Okay, it's not acceptable. So it's unacceptable. Okay, is the new word that we have formed. Okay, which means that we will not accept this. Another important thing that we need to note is that these prefixes and suffixes have the power, particularly suffixes, to change the meaning of the word in terms of its part of speech. So let's look at our original example. We've got accept here. Okay, the word unaccept, just unaccept, the prefix plus the root word is a verb. I choose to unaccept this offer. I know it doesn't sound like proper English, but it is a word. But basically, it's a doing word. It's something that you do. And then when you add able, okay, when it becomes unacceptable, okay, it becomes an adjective. And it's describing a noun as something which cannot be accepted. Okay, so someone gives you a watch and the watch isn't telling the time, you can say, this watch is unacceptable. Do you see how I am now suddenly describing the noun, which is the watch in this case? Okay, something else to take note of is that un is specifically used as a prefix, which results in undoing something. So un means undoing. Okay, it specifically means kind of like reversing it a little bit. So if you screwed in the light bulb, you need to now unscrew it. Okay, think of the process. You've done something, you need to undo it. Right. So that is the meaning, and it adds a very specific meaning to the whole word unacceptable. Okay. And other cases where un is used, unapologetic. I am not willing to go back on what I said. Okay, I'm unapologetic, or do. Okay, unauthorized, no longer allowed to do something. So once you could get into the building, now you are unauthorized to do so. You have not been granted the authority. Unsympathetic, unempathetic, lack of appropriate emotion for the occasion. Okay, sympathetic is seen as shallower to empathetic. When you empathize, think of the word emotion, M. It basically means that you really do put yourself in their shoes, and that's when you are so emotional you could cry, that's empathy. Sympathy is more like, oh, my sympathies, you were too sick to come to my birthday party. Here, you can still have a party pack. Do you know what I mean? So, those are synonyms, but not quite the same. But I digress. Okay, so this should come as a warning sign. We are about to be exposed to a lot of lists of different prefixes and suffixes. It's not something to be afraid of, it's a learning opportunity, okay? Because in a test or examination, a question will state a rather long word. The question will then ask you to identify and explain the prefix or the suffix of that word. Okay, and that is why we need to sit and we need to study these words, particularly if English is not your first language. Right. Therefore, read through these words slowly and grasp a basic understanding of the following words to prepare this question beforehand, because it will come up in the language paper, and you are expected to know it. So if we study it now, it will just become common sense to you. Oh, sorry, I dropped my pen. It will just become common sense to you all the way up until matric, in that final paper. Before we dive into some longer lists, we are just going to quickly pay tribute to the Greek language and specifically its influence on prefixes and suffixes. So there is evidence of philosophers, which means people who ponder about, well, life and death itself. Some famous ones are called Socrates and Homer, and they actually wrote their work in Greek. Okay, and a lot of it is adopted today. So the prefix telo or telo, okay, has been taken over by modern English today. Telephone, that's an old-fashioned word for a phone which you use with your hand, and telescope, again with the hand. Then neuro is your brain, neuroscience, science, microscope, okay? So micro means tiny. So yes, there are many Greek prefixes, and there's also a lot of Latin ones. Let's have a look at some more. Anti means against, okay? There's also the Latin ante. Anyway, antisocial, anti-aircraft, antidote, okay? All of these are examples of when anti is used, which means the opposite. So have a look at this puppy over here. Do you see him? He's on the right-hand side. His jersey says the Antisocial Puppy Club. It means that he doesn't like to socialize. In fact, he's opposed to socializing with others. Hypo means under, not to be confused with the Latin hyper, which means over, just to confuse us. And hypodermic needle, a needle that, gross, goes under the skin, I believe. And a hypotenuse, which is a reference to mathematics. You haven't learnt about a hypotenuse just yet, but it's coming, guys, and it's basically a sum, which means that these two angles match this angle, so this line is called the hypotenuse. Anyway, the point of this whole digression is that hundreds and thousands of technical, medical, and scientific terms which are used have their origin in Greek language. Okay, so there's a lot of Greek influence to prefixes and suffixes. Also, the word syn means together with, so synchronize means in harmony, synonym, words that are the same, stuff like that. Look at all of these planes flying in unison. They are synchronized. It's just like 4 units are acting as one. Okay, so when it comes to prefixes, there are 4 types, and we are going to look at each one of these in more detail. Let us start with 1.1, which is the prefix that has to do with number or degree. Okay, so there's lots and lots. These are the most common ones, and I do suggest if you have the activity booklet, no, the theory booklet, to study them on there, or if you can write it down from here, whatever works, but it's important that you know these. Okay, so let's start with ambi. Ambi means that you can do both. So ambidextrous means that dexterous means the ability to move your hand. Okay, so if you are ambidextrous, it actually means that you can write with your left and your right hand. Monologue, it means one. Okay, monologue means to talk, one person talking basically the whole time. Hypercritical means kind of overly critical. And bi is having 2 of something. Okay, so let us go and take a look at the table below and see if we can study these right now. Okay, mono means one. Monochrome means it is just one color. There's absolutely no shades of other color. And monopoly means if you have the monopoly of something, right? Nobody else is in competition with you. It is actually a dangerous thing because it's good to have competition. I'm thinking of businesses now. If there was only one place that sold perhaps tea towels, then they would double the price of tea towels, because that's the only place where anyone could get them. So if you have the monopoly, it means that you have absolutely no competition. And having competition means that businesses keep the prices quite low because they're trying to sell you this product even and for you to choose it as opposed to another company. Gosh, I hope that makes sense. Semi means half. A semicircle, for example, looks like this. Okay, because the other half of the circle isn't there, so it's cut off. It's cut off over there. Okay, hemi, half. The hemisphere is divided into north and south. So the world's hemisphere, let me choose a green color, even though we're mostly water. Hemisphere, okay, here's the earth. We've got the northern and the southern hemisphere. And South Africa is definitely in the southern hemisphere. And Europe and Russia and all that is in the upper hemisphere. Anyway, okay, think of a bicycle. It's got 2 wheels. A tricycle has 3 wheels. Oh my gosh, am I going to try and draw a tricycle right now? You must be joking. That's not bad. Okay, so a bicycle only has 2 wheels and a tricycle has 3. Quad, a quad bike. A quad bike is like a motorcycle that has 4 wheels. Apparently they're quite dangerous. But anyways, okay, so quad means 4. Quadrilateral is a square in mathematics. Okay, mega, mega is giant or 1 trillion. So if you've got a megabyte of something, that was quite a lot back in the day, I believe. But yes, Megatron, I think that was in one of the Transformer movies, means that it was just a giant robot. Okay. Um, anyway, multi means many. Multi-plug, okay, is an example of a plug point that has like 10 different plugs for all of your electronics. Multi-access pass means that you can have access to multiple places in one space. Multi-use machine, it's a machine that doesn't just have one purpose. It's got multiple purposes. Okay, so you can use it for lots of different things. Let's move on to 1.2. This is a prefix that is linked to an English preposition. Basically, what it's doing is it's showing the relationship. Okay, I don't think that they'll ever ask you to identify one of these prefixes and say, oh, is it part of 1.2 and define 1.2? No, just understand that these prefixes are here to basically help you understand something in relation to another. So it unpacks that relationship. For example, the pasta at an Italian restaurant is substandard. That's what someone says. This means that the standard of food is being compared to this pasta, and sub means below. Okay, so substandard lets the reader know that this pasta is below the standard that one is used to. Okay, in comparison to others. Let's have a look at some other examples. Circum, think of a circumference, okay, of a circle. That means around. So it's the whole 360 degrees. Com, think of a community, which means that people are together. And if there's a sense of community, it means that there's a sense of togetherness. Sub, again, under, we've unpacked that. And these have Greek or Latin origin. Okay. Right, so let's start with pre. Pre means before. Let's have a look. Pre-game, I think that's something that footballers do. Okay, it's something that they do before the actual game. Okay. Sub means under, substandard, submarine. Oh, a submarine's a good one. That's a machine which goes underwater and can travel underwater. Inter means amongst, interhouse, international. So it means international means that there's nationalities amongst one another. So for example, OR Tambo in Johannesburg is an international airport. You'd see somebody from Botswana sitting there. You'd see somebody from anywhere in the world sitting there about to catch a flight. Okay, so do you see how these words are showing the relationship between two nouns? It's like the school is having an inter-house gala. You kind of understand that this gala is happening amongst the different houses. So it just gives more of it, and it unpacks the relationship of the situation. My goodness, English. Okay. Anyway, co, okay, means together. Okay, this is my co-worker. We work together for the same company. Cooperation, let's work together. Can I have your cooperation in this? Co-curricular means together with your regular curriculum, we'll have a sports curriculum, for example. Now, contra means opposite. Okay, so if someone has contraband, I believe that is perhaps weaponry or something like that, and it's, oh gosh, that's a bad example. I actually don't know. Sorry. But contradict means someone is not making sense. And they're contradicting themselves. They say one thing like, oh, I'm a vegan. And then they contradict themselves by saying, oh my gosh, ribs taste so amazing. I'm going to order them right now. That's contradicting what they said in the beginning. That's the opposite of what they said in the beginning. They said that they were a vegan, which means they don't eat any meat. So, do you see what I mean? Contra is showing that the opposite is happening. Re means repeat. Re means redo. Okay, it means that you do it over and over and over again. It is not the first time. Have a look at re-examine. Re-examine means I will go back and I will have another look. You go to the doctor and you say, I've got a sore arm, and they look at it and they say, you're fine. Then a week later, you go to the doctor and you say, doctor, please re-examine my arm. And then perhaps he'll find out what's wrong. Okay, because he's done it again. X means remove. Okay, goodbye. Right. Ex-wife, ex-husband. It means that they no longer hold that title. Okay, my ex-coworker means they no longer work for that company, or you no longer work for that company. Ex-management, no longer the manager, that sort of thing. Okay, so you were once the manager and now you're the ex-manager. Okay, so you see how the title gets removed like that. Trans means through. For example, transform, okay, means that I was once in this form and now I have transformed into a robot. I'm thinking of Transformers. So in Transformers, the movie, Shia LaBeouf witnesses cars turning into robots. They transform. They go through the process of becoming a different thing altogether. And then transport means that I will be traveling from port. A port is a station, so I'm traveling through the country. I'm traveling from port through to the other port. Okay, which means that they're carrying something for a long time. So those are the prefixes that are linked to English prepositions. The next category that we have is prefixes that consist of common English words, but making them extraordinary. So it's words where the root word itself is quite normal, and then you add this and it becomes something incredible. So for example, we have the word ordinary. Okay, you add extra to it, extraordinary. Okay, do you see why the word extra can actually stand on its own these days, because it means like that extravagant, over the top sort of. That's what that word means. Then we have the word out. Okay, so we have a normal word, not normal, but you know what I mean. Ordinary words such as spoken. Okay, not a lot of detail. Then you add outspoken, and suddenly they speak a lot. Okay, outspoken means that they are confident and they can outspeak you, essentially. Another word, standing. So if someone is in good standing amongst the community, for example, that means that they are okay, they're standard. And then outstanding means that you are just a cut above the rest. You are on in a category all on its own, you know. So those two words can just add a little razzle dazzle to an ordinary word. And our last group of prefixes, number 1.4, are prefixes that give negative changes to words. For example, dis becomes disable. Okay, sorry. Able becomes disable. Once I was able to, now I can't. Function becomes malfunction. Once I was functioning, now I don't. Able becomes unable. Okay, once I was able to, now I cannot. Let's look at this in more detail. Dis. Dis means away or disappearing. Perhaps that's where the word dis in slang comes from. Like, I'm dissing you because I want you to disappear. I don't know. Sorry, I digress. Okay, so dis, okay, means to go away or to disappear. So disassociate. I associate with you. You are my friend. We are seen outside in public. But what are you doing, friend? Now I have to disassociate. I have to now disappear. I need to now go away. Okay, and no longer associate. I once used to believe, okay, that the pool could never go green, but now I am in disbelief. I no longer believe that. Okay, that belief that I had is disappearing as we speak. Okay, disbelief. Then we have the prefix in. Okay, in means cannot or without. For example, insecure. Okay, I once had security, now I do not. I am without it. Okay, insanity. I once was sane and then I went into teaching and now I suffer from insanity. Just joking, but sometimes you guys do drive me crazy. Um, Not you, of course. You are all angels. Okay, so insanity, it's when you are without sanity. Um, Insignificant. Have you ever looked at a really tall mountain or hill or a really large pool of water or at the stars and noticed how small we are? That's a feeling of insignificance. It means that we are really small. We think the whole world revolves around us sometimes, but when it comes to the grander scheme of things in the big wide world, we can sometimes feel a bit insignificant. Okay, un, undoing or reversing. Okay, oh, sorry, guys. Significant means of larger meaning. Sorry, sometimes I forget to give you the definition. Okay, un means undoing or reversing. So you have originally done it, right? And now you can't. Okay, so I am unable. Okay, I can't do it. Okay, non means the opposite of the root word. Believer, non-believer. Okay, this is a group. They call themselves the believers, I guess. And then if you don't agree with that group, you are a non-believer. Okay, perhaps people who like fervently or vehemently believe in aliens call all of us non-believers because we don't really believe in aliens. I wonder. Anyway, anti means against, and antivirus, okay, means it will fight against viruses for you. So when it comes to antivirus, they're actually talking about computers. Computers, you can get an antivirus software which will block viruses from getting onto your computer and ruining them. And this is what I found when I googled virus. That's what a virus kind of looks like. And then over here, oh, this is a flight bird, and this is a non-flight bird. A chicken can't fly. Okay, so those are the 4 different groups of prefixes. Alright, so now that we've done our prefixes, let's take a look at some popular suffixes. Remember that a suffix is the part of the word which is seen at the end. Alright, popular suffixes include ed, such a common one, guys. Often when something is turned into past tense, you will see an ed at the end. Okay, wait turned into waited, cried turned into, cry turned into cried. Notice this is actually significant. The Y falls away when I spell cried, okay, and it gets replaced by an I. That is seen quite often, for example, in the word tried as well. Okay, it's spelled T-R-Y. Also the word fried, like fried bacon or eggs. Okay. So note that, okay, but otherwise you added the ed to the end. Okay, sorry, I'm just backspacing. ing, okay, is used to change the word into the present tense. I am trying, I am crying, I am waiting, right? Estimate, estimating, that means guessing. Help turns into helping. Iti forms nouns which indicate the quality or the condition of something. Okay? Integral, which means essential, becomes integrity. Okay? That's something that people have where they hold it near and dear to themselves. Okay. Scarce, hold on a second. Sorry, the definition of integrity, I've got it here. The state of being whole and undivided. Okay, the quality of being honest and having strong principles. Okay, so integral is essential, and then integrity means the thing that makes a person whole. So do you see how ity can help us to indicate the quality of something, and that becomes an abstract noun. The integrity of the lady. Okay, it is a noun in that sentence. Okay, let's carry on. Scarce, when something is scarce, it's not readily available. Scarcity, the scarcity of milk. Okay, sometimes milk runs out. Okay, do you see how that is a noun? Okay, possible turns into possibility. There is still a possibility of this happening. Okay, remember, if you want to test if something is a noun, you put a or that in front of it. Okay, the integrity of the document, absolutely fine. Okay, the scarcity of milk, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it. Things that end in E-T-T-E, I can tell you now that is a French suffix. Okay, anyway, the suffix makes the word appear smaller. Kitchenette. Okay, it is a kitchen that's kind of been divided by 3, and it is tiny, and maybe it just has a microwave and just space for a little mini fridge. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so kitchenette is a small kitchen. Serviette is a small napkin. Americans call them napkins, and we call them serviettes. L is the next suffix, which we are going to be taking a look at. It is relating to. Oh dear, that's a prefix. How did that prefix get in there? Sorry, okay, but profession, it actually should be a suffix. The examples that I gave are prefixes. Hang on a second. Okay, that's better. So we were busy looking at the word L, okay, which means relating to. Okay, profession turns to professional. I am related to this profession. Okay, medicine, medicinal. Okay, this over here, this tea, for example, is medicinal. It is related to medicine, and it's going to help you. Okay, let's have a look. Ness, okay, is a state or condition. Again, it turns certain adjectives, it turns words into nouns. Okay, suffixes are extremely useful when it comes to changing the part of speech, and that's why they are something that we should study particularly hard if it is not your first language. Okay, anyway, ness, a state or condition. I feel lonely. I am experiencing a loneliness, or I am experiencing loneliness. Okay, the happiness that I feel right now. I'm just adding an a or a the to show you that these are nouns. Okay, happiness. Carelessness. You can be a careless person, and then someone can say, the carelessness is too much for me. Okay, if they want to be dramatic. Okay, those are all abstract nouns. Do you see how they have turned into nouns? Right, the suffix age, grouping. It represents a set or a collection. My lineage, that is a line which is particularly related to often a family or a business. But let's say, for example, a family, the lineage of the family means back in history, their great 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 grandfather and their children's 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 children. That's the line. So it's the collection in terms of your family lineage. Sorry, breakage. Okay, breakage is another great one. It's the collection of things that have broken. Okay, so break is a verb, and then it turns into a noun again. Interesting. The damage. Okay, drainage. Drainage, you need to drain. The drainage area would be the area which needs to be drained. So do you see how it is grouped? Okay, age is used to group things. Li, having the qualities of, or setting apart intervals and time. So the words that have the qualities of beautifully, gracefully, anything really, any sort of adjective you can add a ly to, and then you can create a sort of adverb from that. Let's try another example. Clumsy, clumsily. Okay, so the girl is clumsy. That's an adjective because it's describing the girl. The girl ran clumsily would be an adverb because that's describing the run. Okay, let's see when ly is used to set apart intervals in time. Hourly, so that's every hour. Annually, okay, that's every year. Let's have a look at the next one. Ents or ants. This is a Latin suffix used when forming nouns, and it's indicating an action, a state of condition, or a quality. Okay, we're here, guys. Okay. Remembrance, reference, proficiency. No, you say remembrance, reference, proficiency. I'm just trying to emphasize the suffix. Sorry. Do you see how that's forming nouns? Okay, indicating the quality. Okay, so I will refer you to my friend. That is a verb. But I will give you a reference. A reference suddenly becomes a noun because it's a tangible thing, a reference, which you can give to somebody else. Okay, in remembrance of Deborah, okay, remembrance is the state or the quality of being. We are sitting here in remembrance. We're trying to remember something. Okay, just two more, guys. I promise this is the toughest slide. The rest are going to be really good. Okay, so less means a smaller amount. So I am helpless. Okay, I have very little amounts of ability to help myself. I am helpless. Okay, I am tactless. I don't have tact. To have tact is to kind of approach something tactfully and to think about it very long and hard and to do the right thing. If you are tactless, you just kind of barge in there and say and do whatever you want, no matter how many feathers you kind of ruffle. Okay, and this one is, I'd say, the most obvious one. I am homeless. I don't have a home. Okay, full forms an adjective which indicates full of. So beautiful actually means full of beauty. Okay, helpful means full of helpfulness. Okay, and so those are the most common suffixes. Let's take a look at some other suffixes which might pop up in the exam. Suffixes that change words into adjectives, okay? These include IVE, which turns into creative. So, I create is a verb. She is creative is an adjective. Innovate, again, is a verb. Innovative, okay, an adjective, right? I will manage, okay, is the root word, right? It's the base. Manageable. It turns it into an adjective, right? The task is manageable. Tolerate, okay, becomes tolerable. Airy, okay, legendary, okay, ordinary, things like that, okay, it suddenly becomes an adjective. Do you see? 8, fortune, fortune 8. Okay. Oh gosh. Hold on a second. Sorry, my dog was doing something weird. Um, okay, fortunate. Coordinated. If someone is coordinated, they are very, very good at dancing and things like that. They don't fall over onto their face. Must be nice. And so sorry. My goodness, this dog. Anyway, yes, fortunate, and is a derivative of fortune, and coordinate is a derivative of coordinated. Oh, coords. Yes. Okay, suffixes that change words into nouns. These test, you can put the in front of these words. For example, excite. So, oh, you excite me. Okay, that is a verb. Will become excitement, which is something like the excitement is in the air, or you can just feel the excitement. Okay. L, deny, turns into denial. I deny doing that, which means I do not agree. I did not do that. Okay, it's a verb. I deny it, right? Denial is it's a noun. So the denial, or you are in denial. That's a good example. You are in denial. It means that you are not accepting something. And the denial could be used in a sentence, and therefore it is a noun. Acity, capacity, audacity, both nouns. Okay, we do not have the capacity to fit 500 people. Capacity is a space. So during COVID, the capacity of a restaurant had to be split in two because we couldn't sit so close to each other. The capacity was full, even when the restaurant was halfway full. And audacious, okay, is an adjective. Audacity is a noun. I cannot believe your audacity. That means that you think you are regal and better than everybody else. Then the last one is itty. So profanity. Profanity is a swear word. It's a word you should never say. And then dignity. Okay. It's from the word dignify. And last but not least, we have suffixes which create verbs. Okay, so, excuse me. Let's look at the example here. Spark. Okay, spark could be used in a variety of different ways. I feel a spark between us, perhaps in the chemistry department. Metaphorically, okay, that would be a noun, and it would also be a noun in terms of the science lab, the spark, you know, shot. But then it becomes sparkle. Okay, sparkle. The stars sparkle. What are the stars doing? Sparkling. Okay, sparkle turns it into a verb. Then we have words that end in ise. Visual. Okay, a visual is something that you see. What you are staring at right now is your visual. But when you say visualize, it's asking you to do something. It's asking you to visualize. It's asking you to see something. Okay. Enlight or just light. Okay. And then it can turn into enlighten. When someone is enlightening you, or when you are enlightened, you suddenly feel as though you can see better than you've ever seen before. It's almost like you thought that, how can I put this? It's often a spiritual feeling as well. Okay, so when you feel a sense of enlightenment, you feel a deep sense of meaning is coming across you. Okay, and then let's look at the last one, 8. Okay, words that end in ate. These have been turned into words that are verbs. So intimidate. Okay, someone is intimidating me. Don't intimidate me. It's something that you do. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this video, and I hope that it was beneficial to you. I really enjoyed compiling this, and yes, all the best for the big test.